Oh, cool.
Yeah. How you doing today,
Awesome. How's
Christine?
Maria?
Good, good. How are you
What?
today?
I'm doing great. Hey, I'm going to turn it down a little. Hold on.
Sure.
Oh, right.
Cool. I'm glad you were able to get on. Thank you so much for taking the time.
Yeah, my pleasure. Thank you.
Awesome. So my friend John couldn't make it because he had to work. I'm thinking about calling him to see if he wants to ask you any questions because I know he wanted he wants to do what you're doing for a living. So for the people who are, because this is actually going live on my Facebook fan page right now, Christine, I'm just going to do a little introduction to how we met and who you are. So I titled
Okay.
this show here, "Making a Living While Traveling with Your Family" with Christine Roberts. And for the folks who are watching on the replay or watching live, I met Christine at a Starbucks, and she made a comment of my iCraze laptop stand, and we ended up talking for like 20 minutes there on the spot. And I discovered that her and her husband and her two kids are actually traveling across the country, back and forth, making a living while they're traveling. And they have the RV with the setup with their desk and Wi-Fi. And she's a leadership development coach, speaker, and author. And the husband's full-time in tech, I believe. And they teach their kids and educate their kids on the road through virtual classes, which is awesome. And that's why I find it so fascinating to connect with her. And we talked a few times before then. But she does work for full-time for John Maxwell, correct? No, John.
Correct.
Is that John Maxwell,
The John
right?
Maxwell Company. The John
Yes.
Maxwell Company.
Yep. And then
Yeah.
you also have a side blog, which is Rolling with the Roberts, but the actual URL
Right.
is christineroberts.com. And is that the best place that people could discover and learn more about you?
Yeah, actually, it's Christine M. Roberts because there's others that already took Christine Roberts. So ChristineMRoberts.com or Rollin with the Roberts. We actually have a few URLs that all tie to the same place. So ROLLIN with the Roberts.com. Or if they forget, we also have the URL rollingwiththeroberts.com. So all of those back
rollingwiththeroberts.com.
to the same place. Yeah.
Excellent. Excellent. Well, I just wanted to thank you so much for taking the time to speak to me. And my friend was supposed to be here, but he couldn't make it. But thank you.
Sure.
Awesome. So I'm really interested in your story, and I want to kind of get into your superhero origin story. You're an author, speaker, a leadership development coach. And how long you been on the road now, traveling with your family, doing your job as well as your business on the side?
Yeah, so we've been on the road for 7 months. I can't believe it. We actually sold our house November 6th. We closed on our house, and we were full-time in the RV at that point. So we left Atlanta on November. We're now in I'm now north of San Francisco right now. So we've traveled down the southeast and then across the country through Texas and Arizona and Southern California, and now we're north of San Francisco.
That's amazing. And so
Yeah.
what made you decide? I already know the story, but I want people to hear what made you decide to like basically up and leave where you guys basically are living and grew up with your family and wanted to go traveling and do this amazing journey. What was it that made that decision and made you take that action?
Yes, great question. And really the inspiration for us, just to kind of give you a backstory, about 5 years ago, I was in California for a speaker conference, and I met a couple that had done this, and I feel like they planted the seed for me. And what inspired them to do that initially was the fact that the mom was really sick, and they were concerned about her health, and they had an 8-year-old and a 5-year-old, had a big house in Virginia. They were able to rent their house, travel, and luckily she got better, and they said it was just an amazing experience for their family. So kind of planted the seed. And what I thought to myself at the time was, when our kids are 10 and 12, that would be a really cool thing to do. Yeah. And so I kind of, was thinking about it. Then around that same time, my husband and I had gone to an event at church called Married Life Live. And the event was called Cultural Current. And they showed a couple on a boat going out to sea, scuba diving. They go over the side, drop anchor, then go over the side, and then they're under the water and they're looking around and they keep checking the anchor. Well, then they got distracted and they just got looking at things and doing things. Next thing they know, they don't see the anchor anymore. when they go to the top of the water, their boat is like far, far away. And the whole metaphor was how we can get caught up in the cultural current in our society, in our culture, where we forget about what's really important. And so kind of flash forward, last summer, it was the same kind of thing for us. You know, my family, on paper, we have success. We've got the big 5-bedroom house, the fancy cars, all that stuff. But what I found is that all we were doing was going. And life just had become such a grind. You know, I remember seeing on Facebook some people, like while I was at a traffic light, you know, looking at Facebook, and some people had gone to a concert. And I just felt so sad because I thought, I don't even have time to research concerts. You know, like all we're doing is going. So it was really like that whole thing, getting caught up in the cultural current. And I told my husband, I don't want to do this anymore. Like, I want us to go out and have fun. I want to work. I love work. I was wired as a businesswoman, and I love what I do. And so he's an engineer, and so I had to really sell him on it. I had to put together a project plan in Google Docs, you know. What's his objections? What are his concerns? What's the criteria? What are resources? What are solutions? I mean, he was the biggest sales job I ever did. So anyhow, he got the memo, and I mean, literally, we did this whole thing in about 3.5 months.
Wow!
And you know, it's one of those things where I think so many times people think things are not attainable. You know, we feel like we're stuck in situations, and you know, I just pray that our family can be an inspiration to other people, that you can create your best life. You know, death and taxes are the only thing for certain in America. And other than that, we can create our best life. Now there's trade-offs and there may be sacrifices by what your top priorities are. You can make adjustments and you can change your situation. So that was kind of the whole thing. And then I read an article about people in hospice. This was like the final straw. I read an article about people in hospice, and it said, if you could live your life over again, what would you do different? And the regret was always about what people didn't do. You know, why didn't we just go and travel? Why didn't we try to start our own business? Why didn't we say we're sorry? You know, those are the things. And that just, I don't know, that just really clicked for me.
Yeah, regret is a big thing for a lot of people. And it's interesting that you highlighted that. I hear a lot of Gary Vee talks about that, where he basically says, if you ever go to these places where, you know, the old people go, I forgot they're called, like nursing homes or whatever, where the nurse have to take care of the elderly people. And you ask all the elderly people, like what the regrets are. And it's just like an avalanche of regrets in their life that they should have done. You know, they should have done this. They could have done that, but they did it, and they regret not taking that chance. So is that along the lines of what you're talking about?
Absolutely. You know, so they're 10 and 12, and they just turned 11 and 13. And this experience in the last 7 months, I mean, I feel like our relationships have just, like my relationship with my children, just really connecting with them, and just that solid foundation of being present. Now I have to still work on that because I do work full time, and I'm, you know, during the day I'm doing my thing. The kids did what's called the Georgia Cyber Academy, which I don't know. I think a lot of states actually have that, and I would have never, I wouldn't have known about it except when we researched this. But it was basically public school online. They logged in, the teachers live. It was very structured with a schedule. They did their thing. So thank goodness. Because people say to me, are you homeschooling your kids? And I'm like, oh my gosh, they would be so screwed up if I homeschooled them. So the public school online was great. But yeah, so that's one thing that I think about. No one has ever been on their deathbed and wish they worked more and spent less time with their kids. You know, had that balance. You know, we've got to, love don't pay the bills. So we got to make money and we got to, you know, work hard, but at the same time, figuring out the balance where you can connect and have those relationships.
Yeah. Now, taking a step back, like you breaking away from the cultural currency or the cultural current that you're talking about, like in the ocean, just taking most people away, and you see you and your family in that current being taken away, swept away into sea. Did you experience any adversity from family and friends thinking that you're crazy or anything like that? Can you hear me?
I would say probably 90% of people were like, wow, I'm so jealous. I wish I could do that. And then there was a few, there was one mom in our neighborhood who's got 5 boys, and you're going to be in this small space with your family all the time. Like, that sounds like a nightmare. And, so, we did get that.
Oh, okay. Got
Luckily,
it.
we get along and we really enjoy each other's company. So I think that's key.
Yeah. And I think it's so awesome that you guys are doing that. My wife and I, we have 5 kids, so I can't imagine us being cooped up in one RV. We'll probably have to use like 2 RVs or something like that. But I think I think like talking to you, that's why I wanted to do this interview on my show, because I want people to realize the possibility and that you have control of your life, and you could dictate whatever direction you want to. I mean, I'm telling you, Christine, this is like rare air what we're talking about here. A lot of people are not aware that you can actually work remotely, let alone be traveling, on the road and making a living for your family. Were you working for the John Maxwell company before you left too as well, or how did that work? Like, did you talk to them like, hey, listen, were you doing remote work before you even started the travel thing? Is that how that worked?
Yeah. So I've been with the John Maxwell company for 3 years, and so it was about 2.5 years in. I went to them and I said, this is what we want to do with our family. So one of the great things about where I work is our company, and if anyone knows who John Maxwell is, he's been named one of the top. He's been named the #1 leadership expert in the world. He's written over 100 books, and our whole environment is about personal growth and living an intentional life.
Yeah.
So, the philosophies in our company are supportive of what I'm doing. So as a consultant, a lot of what I do is WebExes, GoToMeetings. I do travel to clients. And so working remote, we have people that work remote, and so I'm able to do that. I do travel still, and, my husband does too. In fact, right now he's in Atlanta for some training. And so if we have to travel, we just have to make sure that we navigate getting near a place where there's an airport. We were in Los Angeles at Malibu RV Resort. I had to fly to Portland. So I went to LAX and flew there. Wow. So he just, we were in Phoenix. I had to go to the Bahamas, and, so I flew out of Phoenix. So we just kind of have to manage our schedule and where we're going to be based on that too.
Man, that sounds exciting. Sweet. Yeah.
It's such a different life. I mean, it's all about experiences this year. We've been doing so many cool things. That's where all our money is going, is to like experiences. Yeah. And our RV is actually very comfortable. We've got 2 bathrooms, king bed, bunk beds, flat screen. I mean, it's not really camping. It's they call it glamping. But it's comfortable. So, but I have a friend who, they have 4 kids, and they are traveling in their RV too.
Is that right? So, wow. So it is possible.
It is possible.
Well, so one of the cool things I've seen in your RV last time we talked is that the setup that your husband did, it was like a custom made desk that he built. And also, I thought it was very interesting, like the Wi-Fi and like how did all that stuff work? If you work remotely, the first thing I thought about was like Wi-Fi and like how strong is it, and like how does that work for you guys? How do you guys set that up?
Yes, well, because my husband works in the technology sector, we actually have on board a whole network. We have a Wi-Fi booster, and then we have Verizon MiFi. We have an iPhone 7, Verizon iPhone 7 phone. Mm-hmm. We've got AT&T phones, and then we've got AT&T. So we spend a good amount of money on internet, like to make sure that when we get somewhere, we've got to have voice and data. My husband actually, in his network, he has a phone, and he would have to tell you more of the specifics, but it's like IP phone where if someone calls his office, it rings here as if he's at an office.
Oh, that's cool.
So, yeah, so we've got a whole infrastructure for, being sure that we can have internet. Although we were in Yosemite, and that was a challenge.
Yeah.
Service up there was really sketchy. But
wow.
But overall, I would say that we haven't really had any major problems. The Keys, when we were down in the Keys, down in Key West, that was sketchy too. But 98% we've been really good.
That's awesome. That's a cool setup. And are you on your computer right now, or using your phone? You're probably on your computer, huh?
I've got my laptop sitting on the desk.
Oh, okay.
You want me to show you around?
No, I wanted to see the deck. Yeah, I want to see if you could do that. That'd be pretty awesome.
This is, I don't know if I've got my laptop. So this is the desk. Can you see it?
Yeah, we can see it. That's so cool.
And there's my
that's
son.
Hi.
So
that's awesome.
Were you able to get a good look at it?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, that's so cool how you guys got that set up.
Yeah, it's portable. It's portable. So we actually ordered this arm from Europe. Like in the middle, so I'm in the front seat this is the front of the RV up here, and that's the passenger seat, and this is the driver's seat. Yeah. In the middle is a place to put a table, and you can take it in or out. Oh. And so we used that. My husband built it, and he found this arm that we actually went to an RV show, and in Europe, Europeans are used to really small stuff, right? Yeah. Like they're used to using everything for multiple uses. And so we saw this on one of those little tiny campers, micro campers. My husband researched it, and he could only buy this in Europe. Yeah. So he had it shipped over, got a piece of oak wood, cut this out, kind of measured where his dual monitors could go, and then built it. And we take it on and off wherever we go. Mm-hmm. But it works great. That's awesome. That's so cool. Yeah, he built one for me too to go in the back master bedroom. Oh, that's nice. So he's good with his hands too. He's not just smart in the head. He's good with his hands and handy, huh? Yep. That's awesome. Yeah, he's a craftsman too. That's great. I want to talk about your blog here, Rolling with the Roberts. So is this something that you started when you first started your traveling journey with your family? I mean, for seven and a half years, called My Forsyth magazine, and so I was blogging prior to this trip with just articles that I'd written, and then when we were doing this trip, it's kind of like this year is more dedicated to our experience, our journey. So really, a lot of the blogs are just kind of sharing with people where we've been and what we've been doing, and providing some insight for others that might want to travel to the places where we've been, and just kind of sharing overall what we're up to. Yeah, that's awesome. Now, how long you been doing like the author, speaker, public, like personal development, leadership stuff? I think that's for me. I find that very interesting because I've always been in personal development. I think that's a big part of who I am today and why I built my business. And I think it's exciting, but I think most people think it's not really attractive or sexy. But I think like reading these books and listening to audiobooks is a big, big deal. And it changed my life a lot in the beginning to change my mindset. So how long you been doing the speaking and leadership development stuff? I find that very interesting. Yeah, so I've been doing speaking for, a long time, maybe 15 years. Yeah. I got involved with the Mentor Me North Georgia organization, so I would speak to students. And my childhood had a lot of dysfunction with sexual abuse, alcoholism, domestic violence. And so for me as a kid, kind of coming out of the adult, it was like, how can I be better? How can I change the trajectory of my family and improve myself? Because every day, if we can be better than we were yesterday, it's a process, it's a journey for all of us. So I was always passionate about just human behavior and why we do what we do. And I've been in sales for a long time, and that's part of it, right? So same thing for you, getting in sales, it's how to connect with people, how to understand people. And for me, and for you too, you just have a way of connecting with people. It's just a natural curiosity about what makes people tick. And so I've been speaking for a long time. And so I've also spoken in other, with corporations and nonprofits, and about it was probably 5 years ago. I think I must have had a midlife crisis or something. That's when I published my book, and it's called Inspirational Mind Food.
Oh, cool.
And it was really, it's a compilation of a bunch of articles that I've written. And the whole idea is everything in life is how we think. I mean, our life is determined, the happiness and the gratification of our lives is based on how we think about things, how we see things. And so there's this saying, belief drives behavior. Well, what do you believe? It's like Gigo, garbage in, garbage out on computers. You put crap in a computer, you don't put good information, you don't get good information out. And I think about that with our minds. So the whole idea, inspirational mind food, feeding our minds inspirational, good stuff. What happens is then you have good thoughts, your beliefs are good, which drives your actions and your behavior, which drives your feelings. So I'm just so passionate about that. And all of that ties into what I do in my job with the John Maxwell Company. We do leadership training, and we work with companies on intentional leadership plans, company culture strategies. And everything we do, you see how it positively impacts people, not just professionally, but personally. As a parent, as a father, as a mother, as a daughter, as a coach on your kid's soccer team, on the HOA committee, all of those things benefit us.
Yeah, so, absolutely. And the name of your book is...
I could go on and on, but...
No, I get you. I'm like that with marketing. But so... What's the name of your book? Is it Inspirational Mind Food or Inspiration Mind Food?
It's Inspirational Mind Food. You've got it correct up there.
Got it. And where can they look for that? Like if they want to take a look at your book, is it on Amazon?
Yeah, it's on Amazon and Barnes & Noble. If you go to the website, ChristineMRoberts.com, it's on there. But if you just Google that, it's on Amazon and Barnes & Noble.
Awesome. Yeah, personal development is a big thing for me too. So I'm glad you shared your story there. So what's next with you and your family? Like you have Rolling with the Roberts going on. You're documenting your journey. What's the next step for you guys?
Yeah. Well, what's funny is we're actually going to be on a TV show July 5th and 6th called Going RV. Yeah. So when we left Atlanta, we were in Florida and we got the call. So I had seen that show, a friend network. So Great American Country Network is a sister network to DIY, Travel Channel, HGTV, and one other one. But anyway, I had seen the show, and it's basically like a House Hunters for RVs. And when I saw the show, I had Googled it, and they had a thing for casting, and I wanted to share our story just again to inspire families. And it doesn't mean you have to sell your stuff and, go live in an RV, but inspire people that you can make changes. Like for you, your story is a great story. The fact that you decided, I'm going to figure out how I can add value and create my own company, and you're doing it, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you did. That's amazing.
Thank you.
So with the Going RV, I had sent an email to in January. We got a call from the casting director, and she said, what did you guys end up doing? Because when I emailed her, we had not sold everything yet. And so I told her, and so we did a Skype interview with her, and then they sent that to the network and to the producers. And then 2 days later, they said, we want you to be on the show. So then we went back to Atlanta and we filmed the show. Wow. And so, I just saw it on their website. They told us it's going to be on July 5th and 6th.
Yeah.
So
wow,
anyway, we're doing
amazing.
that. Yeah, I know. I'm kind of scared, actually. I'm like, I don't know what it's going to look like.
That's amazing. So, I mean, the whole goal for you is like you want to inspire families. And like when I first talked to you at the Starbucks, I was inspired by your journey of traveling with your family across the country like that and making a living remotely. And you mentioned that, you don't actually have to do exactly that. So what do you mean by that in terms of like, okay, I want to inspire you, but you don't necessarily have to do what I do and like leave your house and start traveling with your family. Can you expand a little bit about that? Like what did you mean by that?
I'm also a certified life coach. So, working with people to kind of, there's what's called a life wheel, and it's looking at all the components in our lives and determining, where are we in these different areas, and where are places that we want to grow, and really helping people get clear about what areas do they want to improve on and figuring out a roadmap to do that. I don't know about you, but time just flies, and it's so easy to like another year goes by and I'm in the same place doing the same thing. So, if we can first to people, because, what I find is a lot of times we can all, myself included, kind of just get into a trance where we're just going through the motions. Mm-hmm. And then next thing you know, 5 years has gone by and you're thinking, there's so many things I want to do, but I don't know how to do it, or I have a roadmap, or why I feel the way I feel. Where's the gaps? So helping people, raise awareness, number one, to what areas they want to improve on. Mm-hmm. And it doesn't, a person can even say like, hey, you know what? I want to be a better, like for me, a few years ago, I sat there thinking like with my daughter, I said, I want to be a better mom. And so I just took time and really focused on how can I be a better mom. I read a book called, oh my goodness, I'm drawing a blank on it. How to Speak So Kids Will Listen and How to Listen So Kids Will Speak. Awesome book. Highly recommend that for anyone. Yeah. And so anyhow, it's really about raising awareness for people to kind of look at themselves, look at their life. Are you living the life that you want? Is your family living? Because right now we're sitting here saying, where are we going to end up? Because everybody's saying, well, what are you going to do? You sold your house. What are you going to do? And we're like, we took all the equity, put it in a money market account. We'll buy another house. It's just a house, Yeah. And, but now we're sitting here talking as a family, like, what is our life? What would be the life we would want? And, we're throwing around a lot of different ideas. Where do we want to land? Mm-hmm. And so it's kind of stepping back and driving and creating our life versus letting it happen. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. So, that's awesome. I love the way you just broke that down. It kind of going back to your original analogy about the cultural currency is like, you're like actually like a lighthouse bringing awareness to people in their life, right? Like the lighthouse on the shore shining, but like, hey, listen, this is what's possible. Come back to shore and let's figure out what makes you happy in life. Did I get that right?
That's a great analogy. I love that. I hope so.
Yeah, and I feel like this journey that you're on with the traveling is the lighthouse. It's like the gateway for them to be introduced to that awareness. Because again, the social currency, when you get caught up in that current, you just kind of get like mind numb and just follow the pack, And I think having you shaking us up and like waking us up, like, hey, listen. You got to wake up. What makes you happy? How come? Let's do something about it. And so I think that's a pretty cool message that you're doing right there. So that's awesome. So before we close this off, again, what's your book title? It's Inspirational Mind Food.
Correct.
Got it.
Inspirational Mind Food. Yeah. Got it. It's a very simple read. It's articles. It's almost meant to be read like, maybe like a devotional, read an article a day. And the whole premise, they're very short articles because where we go to church, our pastor's name's Andy Stanley. It's called Northpoint Ministries. Yeah. Every time he speaks, I walk away and I know what he talked about, how it applies to my life, what I should do. And his structure is me, we, God, you, we. So me, how attention applies to him, we, and then he brings everybody else into that same tension. For, God's the solution. My book's not a faith-based book, so it's about the solution. And then you, he says, he gives you attainable action items that you can do. And then we is like, if everybody does that, how it affects all of us. So me, the tension, one tension. Me, we, bring other people in. Solution, you, an attainable action item, and how it affects all of us. So it's meant to be a very, and it's based on a lot of things that I've observed. I travel a lot. So the things will happen, and it triggers me just thinking about stuff and how I can see life. And I think that the articles are about, meant to be really relatable, because we all struggle with different tensions, different challenges. And so that's kind of what it is in a nutshell, is raising, again, the awareness to how we think and how we observe situations, and the choice to decide how we see things.
Yeah. And it's funny, I really believe that awareness is the very first step people need to take. And that's what you're helping people get, is that awareness. Because if they're not aware of it, there's nothing they can do about it, because they're like blind to it.
Totally. And that ties into what I do for a living, as a consultant, a leadership consultant.
Yeah.
The number one way for leaders to be successful is, number one, to have self-awareness.
Yeah. Because
we're all wired, a certain way, and our strengths in overdrive become blind spots.
Mm-hmm.
If you're a highly directing person, that's great, because you get things done, you make things happen. But directing in overdrive becomes micromanager dominant, that they're overbearing, because it's a good quality, but too much of it is a bad quality. So it's awareness that this is how I'm wired. And if I do this too much, people are going to shut me down, or they're not going to understand me. So it's like awareness, I think, is so key for everyone.
Yeah. Self-awareness. I think that's it right there, where, being aware of yourself. We could go on forever on that one. We'll leave
I know, we could chit chat.
But that self-awareness, guys, if you guys are watching this is what she's helping you do with Inspirational Mind Food. If you guys go on Amazon, type in Inspirational Mind Food, buy her book, and start getting that self-awareness. And she helps guide you on what to do thereafter too as well. But again, the website is ChristineMRoberts.com, correct?
Correct.
Awesome. And so I'm going to do a quick little plug here, so that way people can see your website. But I just wanted to thank you. I know this is kind of a long interview, but thank you so much, Christine, for sharing your story. I was inspired when I first met you, and I hope when people watch this in the replay, they get inspired on what's possible. I mean, you travel with your family, working full time, and educating your kids on the road is very inspirational. It's like way thinking outside of the box and tearing away from the cultural current too as well. So I just want to thank you for sharing your story, and please everybody follow her on her blog and get her book.
Thank you, Armando. It's been so great to meet you. You're an inspiration to me. So I see how we've connected. It's like you're a brother from another mother.
That's right. That's awesome. Thank you so much, Christine. I'm going to shut this down. So we'll talk right after this if you have time.
Okay. Thanks a lot. Bye, everybody.
Bye. Shut this down. There you go.